You ready? Ready? We can start? Okay. So we're going to start by Amr Rab Yitzchak Bar Shila, Amr Rab Masna, Amr Rab Chesed. It's really the bottom of Lamed Beis Amud Aleph. That's 32a. The bottom of 32a. Yeah. It goes like this. Rab Yitzchak Bar Shila says the name of Rab Masna. Some call it Rab Matana. Rab Masna says the name of Rab Chesed. Ha'ab shemachal al k'vayde. Let's say the father says, it's okay, you don't have to honor me. I'm fine. You don't have to stand up. You don't have to do anything. It's all good. You don't have to serve me. You don't have to dress me and all of that stuff. Well, it's fine. This child doesn't need to do it because the father forgave him for it. He forgoes on it. But if the teacher says, don't worry, you don't have to stand up. You don't have to feed me and all of that. That's already a different story. You want to sit down? Rav Yosef Amar, that's the opinion of Rav Chisda. Rav Yosef Amar, Rav Yosef says, I feel Rav Shemachal Kvede Kvede Machal. Rav Yosef says that a teacher can forgo his own honor. He's allowed to forgo his honor. Very interesting. If Hashem was going together with the Jewish people, in the cloud and in the clouds of glory and with the fire and the pillar of fire, Hashem is going to protect them. That means he's forgoing his own honor. He's doing, he's serving the people. So the Rav can also, the teacher can also forgo on his honor. Amma Rava says, 1 second, that's not so. So now, hold on. When it comes to Hashem, Hashem owns the world, but he also owns the Torah. So he can say what he wants. So he's able to, he's the boss. So he can say that he forgoes the honor. However, Torah Dilehi, does the Rav really own the Torah that he has enough jurisdiction that he can say that I forgo the honor of the Torah? He can forgo his own honor, but the Torah that he has is not his. Other Amar Rava, then Rava says, the truth is that Torah Dilehi actually owns the Torah. It's interesting. That pasuk says, Torah Hashem Chaftzai. He desires the Torah of Hashem, and in his Torah, he thinks by day and by night. It starts off with the Torah of Hashem, and it concludes with his Torah. And the his could mean Hashem, or it could mean his, means the person that studies it. So we say that before he studies it, it's the Torah of Hashem. After he studies it, becomes his. Once it becomes his, he can forgo on its honor, because it's his.
Because Hashem gifted to him.
Yeah. But he acquires it when he studies it. The Gemara says, Aini, is that really so? We're talking about that Rava said that a sage can forgo on his own honor. But Rava Mashki Be'ilula Debrei, Rava at his son's wedding was pouring the wine. Hey, how are you? See you. Very nice. Rava was pouring the wine. Vidale Kassel Rav Papa Rav Huna Breder Rav Yeshua. And he poured wine for his 2 students, Rav Papa and Rav Huna Breder Rav Yeshua. Those are students of Rava. But and they stood up from when he came by to pour them the wine. They stood up in his honor. Rav Mari, Rav Pinchas.
Can I see?
Come sit over here. Or bring another chair.
Yeah.
For Rav Mari and for Rav Pinchas, his son, the Breder Rav Chisda. He poured for those 2 sages, and they did not stand up for him. Ikvid Rava got upset with them. They didn't stand up for the teacher. Amar Hanu Rabbanan. What's going to happen over here? You're going to say these rabbis are real rabbis. Hanu Rabbanan, Lav Rabbanan. And the rabbis that stood up are not really rabbis. That means they stood up because they have to give respect, but you guys are good enough that that you don't need the teacher, and you're already at a higher level.
Sounds like a lot of misplaced ego.
Yeah. So I wouldn't say misplaced. There's a discussion here. When you read the prophet, Shaul was the first king. The reason why he was chosen because of his humility. Even when they found him, he was hiding amongst the luggage. It says he was very humble. And then the people said, "What's Shaul going to do for us?" And Shaul says, "Don't do anything to them. It's fine." He forgave them. Anyway, he loses the kingdom because he gets the job because of his humility, but because he was too humble, he lost the. Because he was too humble, he wasn't supposed to forgo on it because he's a king. King can't forgo on his own honor. It's the honor of the people, right? So here it's the honor of the Torah. Okay. Sue, another question. You see, our question is that it seems like we have a contradiction. First, Rava says that a sage can forgo on his own honor. He says, okay, don't honor me. Thank you. And then Rava at a wedding is upset that the people don't stand up for him. Now, how do they know that he was machal al kvaydei? Because he was the one that was serving the wine. So you see, he was machal al kvaydei, and nevertheless, he's upset because according to him, it's not supposed to work. Rav Papa was also, he was serving the wine at the son of Abamar. And Vidali Kaslu Rabbi Yitzchak Beit Rabbi Yehuda, he pours wine for Rabbi Yitzchak, the son of Rabbi Yehuda. So like Kame, and Rabbi Yitzchak doesn't stand up for him. The expert, and he gets upset. Papa gets upset. So we see we have a question over here. I thought the Rav is able to be Michael, and now he's getting upset that they weren't, and that they weren't standing up. They have a story that when you give someone a loan, so they're not supposed to say thank you, because the thank you itself is a type of interest. When you're going to get the money back, you're going to get the money plus a thank you. It's interest. It's something you're getting something else.
So you are basically
so one time there was this rabbi, he asked for a loan from someone else. Anyway, the guy gave him a loan. He said thank you. So the second rabbi tells him, "You're not supposed to say thank you." He says, "Oh, okay." Anyway, a year later, he asked for a loan again, and he doesn't say thank you. He says, "Where's the thank you?" He says, "Well, you told me last year not to say thank you." I said, "Yeah, but you're supposed to want to say thank you." And you hesitate a little bit, and I can't say thank you. Okay, I can't say. So the Gemara answers over here, Afilu hachi hidden mi'avad lebo. He was supposed to do some sort of hiddur, even though it was Michael al Kvaidi and they don't have to stand up. You should have done something. They do this little thing like this. They go like that. That's Rashi says Linua ma'at ki'ilu reitzala. It's you make a little motion as if you want to stand up. Okay. Amar Rav Ashi says Afilu manda Rav Ashi, the end of the Talmudic period. Even according to the opinion that says, which is Rabbi Yosef, and then Rava, that says that a teacher is allowed to forgo on his honor, and Kvaydei Machal, that his honor forgoes on it. But Nasi Shemachal al Kvaydei, a prince saying Kvaydei Machal, that is not allowed. The prince is not allowed to forgo on his honor. It's the honor of the people. Can't do that. Meisvei the Gemara is a question. Ma'aseh Rabbi Eliezer, Rabbi Shuv, Rabbi Tzadok, three great sages. Rabbi Eliezer ben Horkenes, student of Rabbi Yechon ben Zakkai, Rabbi Yeshua ben Hanania, and Rabbi Tzadok. Rabbi Tzadok was another great sage during the time of the end of the second Beis Hamikdash. They're at a wedding of Rabbi Gamliel's son. Rabbi Gamliel is serving the wine. He gives a cup to Rabbi Eliezer. Rabbi Eliezer is not going to take from the Nasi. It's not respectful to the Nasi. Doesn't want him to serve him. Nasi Rabbi Shua gives to Rabbi Shua. Rabbi Shua says accepts it. Okay. Amalei Rabbi Eliezer. Rabbi Eliezer says, "Mazi Yeshua, what are you doing, Yeshua?" He calls him. He's his friend. He calls him Yeshua. Anu Yoshim Rabbi Gamliel, Berebi Rabbi Gamliel the great. We're sitting and Rabbi Gamliel is serving us. Amalei, he says, "Matzinu gadol meimenu sheshimish." You have someone even greater than Rabbi Gamliel. What are you worried about? Even greater than Rabbi Gamliel served other people. Who's that? Avram Gadol Hadar Hayav Kasabay Hu Omed Aleim.
That's him.
Avram Avinu served the guests that came, and there was no problem with that. So he responds back. Rabbi Yeshua says, maybe you're going to tell me. Maybe the reason why he served them was not because they were people, but because they were angels. And angels he would serve. It says, He thought that they were Arabs. He told them to wash their feet. He thought that they were going to worship the dust on their feet. And we can't have Rabbi Gamliel serving us. Even Avraham Avinu was serving the guests. Reb Tzadok says, why are you forgetting about the honor of Hashem, and you're busy with the honor of creations? This is an answer to your question, possibly. Hashem makes the wind blow He raises the clouds. He brings down the rain. He makes the earth sprout forth. And he prepares the table for every single person. So if Hashem is able to serve us, so we can't have Ram Gamliel serving us. Rather, if you want to teach this halacha, you have to teach it differently. It goes like this. Rashi says, even according to the opinion that says that a prince that forgoes on his honor, but a king that forgoes on his honor, that's not allowed. You have to place on you a king, that his fear should be upon you, which means that you're not allowed to, even if he forgoes his honor, it doesn't matter. You're not allowed to mistreat him.
That doesn't answer the question. That intensifies it because Hashem's melech machayim lachim. So he can't be machayim. No, it intensifies the original question.
Yeah, so that's a good question. Dr. Stein is saying, but it doesn't resolve the issue because Hashem can forgo his honor, and the king can't. So the same question that we had for the Nasi.
Earlier you mentioned that he's the boss. He could.
Oh, maybe that's the answer. But I think there's another answer over here. Is that since it says that you have an obligation to put on yourself a king, which is a constant obligation, it means that when he forgoes his honor and you don't treat him like a king at that second, that you're not treating him like a king, you're not having a king. It's not a king. So that so the mitzvah of us, it's our mitzvah.
Our side.
Yeah, it's from our side. We're not allowed to let go of that king.
And also that we have to have the intention to honor our king.
Right.
It's a good vort for Rosh Hashanah.
I'm sorry?
I said that's a very good vort for Rosh Hashanah.
Oh. Yeah, that we're accepting a king at all times, right? The next Gemara, what's going to happen over here? We're talking about Kibbud Abain. We're going to get back to it on Lamed Gimel Lamed Beis, and we get a little sidetrack over here about the honor of an older person standing up for an older person, only up for a chacham. Okay, so Taner Rabbanan, Taner Rabbanan, Pnei Seva Takum, stand up for an older person. Maybe if the old man is wicked and he's also an Amaretz. Rashi says he's a Russian and he's Amaretz. Maybe that's what it means. He's an old bad guy. So Talmud Zaken says no. It says the pasuk says you stand up for a seva, which means an elderly. V'adarta pnei zaken, you give honor to the presence of the zaken, which means the sage, and you should fear God. That's the pasuk. Well, it says the sage, the old man, the sage. So ve'in zaken al chacham. Obviously, it's talking about only a chacham, and that would be who you stand up for. So it's only an older person that's also a chacham. Shnemar, Esfelishim Mish Mizikni Yisrael, gather for me 70 men from the elders of Israel, which means that those were the sages as well. And Rashi says that you learn Xer Shabbat. It seems like Zakein and Ziknei. Okay. Rabbi Yossi Aglili Yomer. That we're going to see in a moment. Rabbi Yossi Aglili Yomer in Zakein Elamisha Kana Chachma. So Zakein is someone that right. Rashi says it's a metrikon.
Yeah.
Now, Rabbi Yossi Aglili says, "In Zaken Lamisha Kana Chachma Shnemar Hashem Kani Reishis Darkei." It says Hashem acquired in the beginning, or before he created, he acquired wisdom. Okay, so when we use the word kaina to acquire, it's referring to wisdom. So when it says Zaken has the word kana in it to acquire, it means someone that acquired wisdom. Zaken is someone that acquired wisdom. Literally, it means an older person, but it means someone that acquired wisdom. Okay. Yachal Yamid Mifanav Makam Racha. Maybe you have to stand up even when he's very far away. It says you should stand up, and it says you should give respect. Hadarta means like you should give beauty to. You should attribute beauty to. So you would only do that when it's obvious that you're standing up for him. When would that be? That's only when he comes within your 4 cubits. Otherwise, he's standing up and he's
Comes within
down at
what?
the end of the room.
4 cubits, you said?
4 cubits, yeah. Otherwise, it's too far away. No one knows why you're standing. You're standing because you're looking for something. It's not.
Standing for what exactly?
We're talking about standing up for an older sage, an old man that's also a sage. So far, that's what we're holding.
How old does the older stage need to be necessary? Like does
So
it need to
far,
be
I
60,
believe-
70?
I believe it's either 70 or 80. I'm not sure. Seva. 70 or 80. Yeah, I believe so. Yachal Yad Jen B'Mama. The Gemara later is going to ask about an older non-Jew. Yachal La Yama Mipanov Mimakim. Okay, we did that. But only if there's hither. Yachal Yad Jen B'Mama. And maybe it means that you should beautify him, you should give him respect by giving him gifts, by giving him money. Talmud we're talking about Darta. Says you should get up and you should beautify him. Just like standing up for someone, there's no loss of money by standing up. Also, when it comes to beautifying him, it means without a loss of money. That means you don't have to give him money. You just have to stand up. Let's say he comes into the mikveh, or he comes into the bathroom. You have to stand up because he walked in. Talking about they're only in a place where that would be respectful. Over there's no such thing. That's not considered respectful over there. Maybe you can just close your eyes, make believe like I didn't see him. He didn't come in. So I'm not going to stand up. It says in that pasuk you should fear God. It's given over to the heart. It says that you should fear Hashem. That means that He knows if you saw Him or you didn't see Him. So sad. Reb Shimon ben Elazar says, how do you know that? From where do we know that the zaken should not come in right when everyone's there, sitting down, everyone's comfortable? And he says, okay, now's a good time for me to walk in. I'll get everyone to stand up. So it says that he should also fear Hashem. You shouldn't just do this just to get the honor. You should try to avoid getting the honor. You should come in before everyone comes in, not to walk in late after that everyone has to stand up. Isi ben Yehuda Isi ben Yehuda says that even if it's an old person, even if he's a Amaretz, possibly even is wicked, it's not so clear about that. But you have to stand up just because he's old. Places has a problem with Rashi saying even someone that's wicked. He says, what? The wicked person you're allowed to hit. And you're telling him you have to stand up for him. What do you do? You hit him and you stand. Doesn't make sense. Places says. So
Someone that whoever hits is also wicked.
no, you have to give him lashes. If he's wicked, you probably have to give him lashes. You're standing up and giving him lashes. Like, how does that work?
Yeah, but the lashes is when he's convicted.
Yeah, but we're talking about that he's if it's such a type of person that's what you have to do to him. Okay, the Gemara starts off now with Rabbi Yossi. The Tanna Kama said that an old person can't just be an old fool; it has to be an old sage. Comes on Rabbi Yossi clearly. It says word zakein means someone that acquired wisdom. So the Gemara says, 1 second, that's exactly what the Tanna Kama said, that it means someone that acquired wisdom. Rabbi Yossi clearly had a Tanna Kama. It's exactly the same opinion. What says no, it could be Yanik Bechakim. What Rabbi Yossi clearly is adding in is that it doesn't even mean old. According to the Tanna Kama, it's only an old person that's a sage. According to Rabbi Yossi clearly, there's 2 options. One is an old sage, and also a young sage. Tanna Kama server Yanik B'chachim loy. Tanna Kama holds only an old sage, not a young sage. Rabbi Yossi server Yanik B'chachim. Rabbi Yossi says even a young sage. My time with Rabbi Yossi, where does Rabbi Yossi get this from? That a young sage is also you have to stand up for Amalach. Tanna Kama, if we would accept the opinion of Tanna Kama that it's only an old sage. Why did it divide the pasuk into 2 sections? An older person and a sage. Why did it do that? If it's an old sage, then it should just say the old sage. You should stand up for it. Why did the Eibishter, why did the Torah divide it into 2 categories, 2 clauses? The high must be to tell me that those are 2 separate things. There's an old sage and a young sage. Obviously, it means even a young sage. Tanna Kama, what about the Tanna Kama? Shana Tova.
Father's birthday is today. So
Oh, wow.
Mazel tov.
Sending my best.
Shana Tova.
Okay. Tanakama Shum Devaila Mismach Sakin V'Yaresa. Tanakama says that the reason why it doesn't put it all into the same category, into the same clause, it divides it into two clauses, even though it means this, it's only referring to one person, one old sage. It's not referring to the old sage and the young sage. But why doesn't it divide? Why does it divide it into two? Because it really wants to have the zaken next to the word V'Yaresa, that you should fear Hashem. And the reason for that is because we want to tell you that you shouldn't walk in. The zaken shouldn't walk in and make everyone stand up. You should fear Hashem also, right? You shouldn't bother everyone. Tanakama, my timer. What's the reason for the Tanakama? We learned the reason for Rabbi Yossi Aglili and how the Tanakama answers the question that Rabbi Yossi Aglili has. What is their reason why they say that there's only one clause there, that there's only one person that is talking about? If it would enter your mind that we're following Rabbi Yossi Aglili, I'm sorry. It should say both by both. We should have Tzakam stand up v'adarta and give that respect, the beautifying, and it should also say by the sage Tzakam v'adarta. It should say both by both. It says stand up for the old, beautify the sage. Why doesn't it say both by both? It just says one for each, one verb for each for each person. The fact that it doesn't double it and say what you need to do by both of them means that it must be all one clause, that it's only one older sage. Okay, Amar Mar. Master taught Yachal Yadren and B'mamen. Maybe we're going to go back to explain the Bryce. Maybe you should. This means that you should give money to the sage or to the older person. Talmud Lemer talking about Darta. It says that you should stand up and you should beautify. Well, just like Ma'kim Hashem B'Chisar Kiss, just like standing is no loss of money, right? It's for free. Like they say, smiling is for free, right? The standing up is also, when it comes to beautifying, and we're talking about that where there's no loss of money. The Kima Les B'Chisar Kiss, you want to say standing up is not a loss of money? It's a huge loss of money. Bill Gates stands up. It's I don't know. They used to say, is it worth it for Bill Gates to pick up $100 bill that he sees on the floor? His time is worth more than that. Kairach. Yeah, remember that Yiddish song? It was a Yiddish song. One time knew a rich man who was as rich as Kairach. It's like a big thing. It's about this rich guy who thinks he's such a hotshot. He loses his money. They have to borrow shrouds to bury him. It's a very tough song. Okay, anyway, so what are you talking about? Amila Yaskina and the Kanak of Marganisa. This is a rich man that he pierces pearls. He has a very important job, a high salary. What's it called? It's a high income. So while he's standing up, he's losing his work. He's losing money. So Ella Akish Kimala Hider. Rather, what we have to do is we have to compare standing up to beautifying. Ma Hider Shem by Bittel. Just like when it comes to beautifying could be two things. Either it's standing up or it's giving presents, giving money. But one thing it's not taking off time from work. So just like Hider, which doesn't take off time from work, so too, standing up is not taking off time from work. That means that if someone is in the middle of work, he doesn't have to stand up, actually. So also standing up is also talking about when it doesn't have time of work. Now we have a second step. Now we compare it after we know that standing is not taking off time from work. And now we know that we compare the hidden to the kima. Also, just like the kima, the standing doesn't have a loss of money because it didn't take off time from work, right? So too, also the beautifying also is no loss of money. So number from here they said people that are employed are not allowed to stand up for the sages while they're busy at work. And where it says they don't have to stand up. They don't have to stand up for the sage that walks by when they're in the middle of their work. But Tanan, it says when the people that would come to bring their bikurim, the first fruits, around Shavuos time, they would come to the temple. So the people that were greeting them would stand up in front of them. Who was greeting them? Whoever they passed by, even if their people were employed. But they would stand up, they would ask how they're doing. They would say, welcome people from such and such a place. Come in peace. You see, they're even though they're employed, they're standing up for people that are doing a mitzvah. So you probably have to stand up also for a sage that walks into the room, even though it's the middle of your work. Amar Rabbi Yochanan says, in front of the people that bring bikurim, you actually do have to stand. But you don't stand for a Torah sage because you're employed. You can't take off time from your work. Amar Rabbi Yosi Baravin says, says, take a look how important it is, a mitzvah, while it's being performed. Look at the difference. While a mitzvah is being performed, you have to stand up, and you don't even stand up for sages while you're busy. The Gemara says that's not necessarily the case. Dilma, maybe regular mitzvah while someone's doing it, you don't have to stand up for them either. What mitzvah are they doing here? They're doing bikurim. Maybe over here it's different. Shani Hassam, there it's different. If you're not going to stand up for them, you're not going to make them happy and feel welcome, then they're not going to come next year. So maybe the reason why we do it is just to encourage them to keep coming. Amar Mar, new Gemara. Maybe you should have to stand up in front of a sage in the bathhouse, in the bathroom. It says that you don't have to. The Gemara says, you don't have to. But Reb Chia was sitting in the bathhouse. Reb Shimon bar Rebbe walks by. Reb Chia doesn't stand up. Reb Chia is a student of Rebbe. Reb Shimon bar Rebbe was probably his friend, chavrusa, or maybe a slight teacher. The ikpid, Reb Shimon bar Rebbe gets upset, doesn't stand up. He goes tells his father, I taught him 2/5 of the book of Tillim, which means the book of Tillim is divided into 5 books. So I taught him 2 of the books of the Tillim. He doesn't even stand up for me when I walk by. No respect.
This is a bathhouse.
It's a bathhouse.
Couldn't standing up be very non-respectful?
Right?
It's not modest.
I mean, if he's in the water, he stands out of the water.
So we're saying over here that it's not respectful to stand up, and now Reb Shimon bar Rebbe is upset that he doesn't stand up. What's going on? The Sue, another question. Bar Kapara, Amila Reb Shmuel bar Rabbi Yosi, Rabbi Yosef Bein Maspusa, was also sitting in the bathhouse. Alba Azol Reb Shimon bar Rebbe. Reb Shimon bar Rebbe comes in, and he comes by. But like Bar Kapara, Reb Shmuel bar Rabbi Yosi doesn't stand up. Reb Shimon bar Rebbe gets upset. Asam le'lavua. Goes and tells his father, I taught him 2/3 of a third of this medrash called Teres Kainim, which is the medrash on Vayikra. And now he doesn't even stand up for me. His father says, Reb Shimon bar Rebbe tells his son, Shema behen Yoshev Mahar. Maybe he's thinking about what you taught him, and he was distracted. He didn't notice. Taima the ben Yoshev Mahar. What's the reason why he didn't stand up? And what's the reason why Rebbe told him that? He told his son that it's okay that he didn't stand up because he was distracted. He was preoccupied. Obviously, he really should have stood up. He just was preoccupied. Gemara says, like Kasha. It's not a question. We answer every question that the Gemara has. Either it's machlekes, or we answer that it's a different story. Depends. Are you talking about the room, the inner room of the bathhouse? Then over there you don't stand up. Maybe the outer room of the bathhouse, that's where people are already dressed. So that's where you're supposed to stand up. It makes sense. Why? You see, Rabbi said that he was thinking about the Torah. He was thinking about what you taught him. He's not allowed to think that in the bathhouse. How's he allowed to think? So it must be that it's the outer room, and that's why, okay, Dilma line to shiny, the Gemara says no. Maybe I know he's not allowed to think, but it was so involved, and it came into his mind. Okay. Maybe you're supposed to close your eyes as if you didn't see him. Are we dealing with wicked people that the Brisa says, are you allowed to make believe that you didn't see it and just avoid it, like, go like this, like it's not, you're not watching? The Brisa really meant to ask is maybe you're allowed to close your eyes before he comes, not when you see him, you just make believe you don't see him. Before he comes, maybe you can just close your eyes. You don't know what's going on in the room. Maybe you're allowed to do that, and then when he comes, you never saw him. It says no, you have to fear Hashem. Okay, Tana. So then Brisa is a kima sheish behida. What does it mean, kima, standing up, that also has a beautifying, which means respect? Aviyemer said Dalet Amos. It's talking about that when he's within 4 cubits. That's when you have to stand up. Amar Abaya. Abaya says that's only talking about a teacher that's not your main teacher. But if it's your main teacher, then as far as you can see, you already have to stand up. Abaya would see the ears of the donkey of Rabbi Yosef. I don't know why it calls it the ears of the donkey. Are the donkey ears long? Is that the thing? There must have been. That's what he's saying. But that's because it's pointing upwards. Abaya Habi Rachiv Chamra. Abaya was riding on a donkey. The Kamaski Aguda de Nar Sagi, and he was going along the river of Nahar Sagi, the river Sagi. Yasser Mar Shasha Rabban Bida Chisa. Mashasha and the Rabban are on the other side of the river, but they don't stand up while he's coming by. Amalahu Rav Muvakanai. Probably yells across. Am I not your your main teacher? Amalu Lava Daitin. He said we didn't notice. We weren't thinking.
I thought a tzaddik isn't supposed to yell.
He spoke very softly. Walkie talkie.
Wait, didn't we learn previously with the get thing that when the guy was on the
At
other
the other
side,
end of the
it
river.
doesn't apply to the other side. I'm here. No,
Yeah.
you're not here. Right?
Yeah.
So maybe that's the same answer. It's on the other side of the river.
It's unbelievable.
So it
Yeah,
doesn't-
this is the interesting thing. But even though they're on the other side of the river,
You see him, but it doesn't count. It's the wrong side of the water.
Shimon ben Elazar Reimer, Minayin Lezakin Shlei Yatriach, Talmud Leimer Zakin V'Yaresa. Shimon ben Elazar says, how do you know that the elder should not bother the people? It says, Zakin V'Yaresa. Amar Abaya says, Aktinan, we've established the Makif Chaye. Someone that goes around will have long life. In other words, someone that doesn't make the people stand up will have long life. Abaya Makif. Abaya would walk around to make sure that the people didn't have to stand up. And he'll probably come in through a different door, not to make everyone stand up when he came in. Reb Zeir would also do that. Rabina Abi Yosef Kamei the Reb Yirmiyah Midifti, Kalaful Gabra Kamei B'Lemech Siresha. There was someone that walked by and did not cover his head. Apparently, that's like not respectful. Amar Kama Chatzavai Gavra. Well, Reb Yirmiyah Midifti says, look at how is it Reb Yirmiyah Midifti or Rabina that says this? Probably Rabbi Yirmiyah Midifti. He says, look at how chutzpahdik this person is. Amalei, so the other one responded. He says, maybe he's from Masamasya over there. They're very close with the sages. They all feel like they're all sages in that town, and that they don't show respect to other sages. Okay, let's leave it over here. This is tomorrow's daf. I just wanted to get a little bit ahead because tomorrow we're only going to learn for a half hour. Okay.
I think it's